Good morning, good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to the Keyloop Sales Doc webinar. This webinar is going to be recorded today and we'll send a copy to you by email this afternoon. Please ask any questions as we go through using the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Now, we won't have all the answers today, and if we can't answer them here, we'll pick them up after the webinar and come back to you. We'll also run a couple of polls during the webinar, so if you please take a minute or two just to answer those. And at the end, we'll also run a survey. And we'll also include a link in the follow-up email later. Now, if you're watching this on demand, our contact details are on the screen at the end of the presentation. And I'd now like to introduce the team. So today we've got Curtis Blythe. Curtis is our regional pre-sales manager. We've got Lawrence. Lawrence is our document specialist, and myself, and the regional sales director for the Middle East and North Africa. So during the next 60 minutes, Lawrence will cover what is sales docs and the key benefits. We'll then hand over to Curtis, who will give us a demonstration of sales docs. And finally, the three of us will take questions at the end. Now, due to the large number of attendees today, we'll likely be taking questions via the Q&A button. And I'd like to hand over to Lawrence.
Thank you, James. So just before I go through onto some of the key benefits of the solution, I'd just like to run a quick poll. So what are your biggest challenges with your current digital document solution? We don't have one. There is a lack of integration with the current DMS. It doesn't innovate or support your internal processes. Is it due to the cost, or alternatively, is it difficult to use? I'll vote now. Okay, so very interesting response there. And I think we will try and cover off certainly the second point there in terms of lack of integration with the current DMS. We've got a lot of exciting things coming with Keyloop Docs. So in terms of the integration, it's going to get a lot deeper. And also further to that as well, a lot of you said that you haven't got one, which is absolutely fantastic news to us. And hopefully after seeing today's webinar, you'd like to find out a lot more. Just to James's point, if you'd like to see more following this demonstration, then we can certainly set up a bespoke demonstration for yourselves. So what is Sales Docs? So Sales Docs, it's just been launched in the Middle East. It's just been signed off on the beta stage. It's there to drive and manage the workflow of affiliate sales and administration so throughout that process. So I just want to go through some of the key benefits. There is a huge cost saving when it comes to Sales Docs. We've done some studies with some very large dealer groups, and by removing the paper, print, storage, retrieval, and also destroying of confidential information, they have saved at least $4.75 per deal file, which is absolutely huge. With cost and with money, there is also time. And we've done a time and motion study with a large dealer group, which identified that they save between 2 to 4 hours per deal file. That is absolutely huge. And if you take it to the grand scheme of things, if you forgot to get a signature on a document, retrieving that signature or getting the consumer back in to get that signature on a document is particularly hard. They've taken delivery of their new vehicle and they're not really interested in coming in, but we can show you how that time savings can be made when Curtis goes through the demo. The final point on this particular slide is it's an opportunity to boost your environmental credentials. So for the customers that are currently using this solution, they have removed at least 90% of paper from the sales environment. They've removed all printers, and they've retained one in the dealership, certainly from the sales side of things, and that may be kept in the general manager's office or the sales manager's office. This system is a URL-based system, so it's a web-based solution, so you can have 24/7 access. It does support centralized administration. Now, it is web-based solution, but if you want to network that solution, so it's only accessible within a certain IP range, then by all means, you can do that as well. The key within this solution, it's not the fact of removing paper, it's actually the workflow, and that is the most powerful thing within this solution. And what we do is we configure the workflows based upon your processes. So it's almost like a self-auditing solution from that point of view. If you say that a document needs to be there, or a document needs to be signed, or a document needs to be approved by a manager, then it simply won't move to the next stage. We do not offer a vanilla solution. We configure the solution based upon your processes. Now, you will have a different workflow depending on what sale type the vehicle is. So, for example, new vehicle or a used vehicle. The final point on there is in terms of it brings an enhanced customer experience. The customers that are currently using it, they're sending all of the handover documentation across to the customer the day before they come in to collect their vehicle. So actually they're making the handover experience about the customer collecting their new vehicle, not about the paperwork from that side of things. And I would encourage you to speak to any of our customers that are using it just to find out what their consumer feedback is. So I am going to pass over to Curtis, and he will be covering some aspects of sales docs. As I mentioned, we have only got a short time frame, so Curtis will be going through and just showing you some of the key benefits. But we are open to a Q&A session following this. So Curtis, can I pass over to you, please?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'm sharing my screen now, so hopefully everybody can see that. And I will just hide the little drop-down controls there. So I'm going to take us through a presentation using a demonstration of the sales document system. Just before I do that, I'd just like to illustrate how the documents arrive and create the files in the system using this very simple slide here. So what we do is we create a file for each sold order, but also each used inventory vehicle within the system. And we do that using a trigger document. So typically, when you create a new order for a customer, you will create a document in that process to define that you'll need a file for that sold order. Now, that could be an order form, and for today's demo, I am going to use an order form, but it could equally be a deposit payment receipt from a cashier, for example, anything to trigger the fact that we are about to sort of create a sales transaction with a customer. What we can also do is if the customer has a trade-in vehicle on the order form, so they're going to sell you a vehicle, then we can create a file for that trade-in vehicle in a memorandum status to allow the splitting of the file documents at an earlier stage in the sales cycle. This way, we found it makes the sales administration process a lot more efficient and ensures that when you do get that trade-in vehicle purchased onto your inventory, it's ready to process whether you're going to sell that vehicle again, whether you're going to dispose of that vehicle. You haven't got a file clear down process that would normally manually take place afterwards. And then when we purchase any vehicles for stock, then we can create a stock file as well. So it is this trigger document that creates the file in this first column. Now, lots of other documents will come into the system during the sales process. And what we want to do is make it as simple as possible for users to ensure that files are populated with the right documents in the right places with no intervention from the user. And what we wish to do there is do what we call auto-append the document into the file in the right place. Now, these can be documents from your dealer management system. Today, I'm going to be using a Drive system with the Drive showroom platform, but it could equally be Autoline Revision 8 that we could be taking the documents from as well. But you may be raising documents in other CRM systems, so documents that you might want to put in the file that are not being generated from your dealer management system. And we can take documents as long as they're in a data PDF format, and we need some unique references to match against, ideally 3 unique references, so a vehicle VRM, VIN number, order number, customer name, contact details, etc. Those unique references will need to be in a fixed position on the document, but the rest of the document can grow, expand, etc. as required. So a data PDF with these unique fixed references, we can then read the document as it comes to us. we can match it to the relevant file and put the document in the relevant placeholder in the file. Now, should we not have that capability of creating a document as a data PDF, or we want to upload different types of files, then we make it easy for users to upload either through the web-based interface using a simple upload browse to file browser button, or to drag and drop between the file browser and the web browser. So it's nice and easy to upload documents. What we can also do is we can create a range of electronic documents that come into being within the file structure itself. So these are typically documents that are not held on any system. They tend to be things like checklists or declarations. They might be on a shared drive. They might be spreadsheet documents that users keep on a local drive. But what we can do is we can ensure that those are in the file in a format that the user can access them, action them, and gives you surety that they are always using the same form. And then lastly, we can scan and upload paper documents. Now we can do that through printer scanners. So that could be a network photocopier device where we can scan a paper document, or we can do it through a series of what we call tablet apps, any mobile device with a camera that can be used to take a picture of a paper document. So whilst we're trying to ensure that we're going as paperless as possible here, we do understand that there will be some need for paper documents at various points in various processes. And should you need to put those in the file, a simple picture of that document will upload them. So this is how the documents find their way into the files. And simply put, whether it's coming from the dealer management system or any other CRM system, that we can consume the document instead of printing it like an order form, we can actually turn it into a PDF document and file it away in the relevant file. So I'm now going to go to my demonstration system. So my demonstration system is a Drive DMS system with a showroom. I'm only using that today to produce the documentation in real time so you can see what happens. I'm going to put the focus onto the sales document system. The sales document system I am going to be using today is a UK system. As Lawrence said, we've been busily working in the region, and we've just recently signed off all of the testing that we've done for the region, and we are busily working as a demonstration team building out a region specific pack with some of the learnings from those beta tests that we've done in the region. So if anybody wants to arrange a more bespoke demo going forward, we should be in a position very soon to show you something that is done from a regional specific system, and we'll show you some of the new features that we've got for the region as well, and we'll have a workflow that hopefully you'll recognize much more in line with the processes that you use in your businesses today. In terms of today, though, the focus is to show you the functionality of the system. So I'm going to move across to my web browser here. I'll just close my Zoom meeting launch tab there. And I'm logged into Keyloop Sales Documents. Now I'm logged in as a sort of super user, so I can show you all the functionality today. But each user is associated with a user role in the system. So if I was a salesperson, I would likely only see my transactions, my orders, etc. If I was a sales manager, then I would most likely be given permission to see my branches. And if I was a regional manager, then I would want to see the entire group or division. Now, we can make multiple dealers available in one environment. Because what the sales doc system is doing is it's consuming documents. It's not really concerned where they're coming from. It just needs to know where they're coming from so it can categorize them correctly. So as a group manager, I can see all of my branches, or I can filter it down to a selection of branches for a division or a single branch from this one screen. What we also have is a deal file search box, and I'll come back to that a little bit later on when we get some documents in the system. But this enables users to search for any files in the system. Also, if we're looking at stock files, I may wish to search a stock file at another site. And if I need to do that and I've got permission to do it, I can use this search box to put in the vehicle registration mark, or and then I can search for that vehicle and have a look at a stock file if I need to. Again, these are permissions granted, so if we want to turn any of this functionality off, we can. Now, this next part of the screen is the important part. This is a dashboard that shows all of the files and the statuses they're moving through. Now, as Lawrence said, we don't deliver this as a vanilla solution. We try to start with a best practice solution in any market we're in. But we then obviously listen to what you need. And as part of the setup, we can amend these statuses to suit your requirements. Now, statuses can change by branch, by brand. So if we've got different branches handling deals in different ways, then these statuses can differ across the system as well. Now, I've got a very simple workflow where the order's received, probably the manager printing the order, the manager then authorizing the order to go through to admin. It then gets invoiced and it then goes for handover. So we keep it into a fairly sort of straightforward demo flow here. But if we want to add in additional statuses, that's entirely possible. And obviously the order and how these statuses work are totally within the parameters for us to be able to set for you. The one at the top there, open, is for stock files, and you'll see how that will work in a second. So I've got 0 in the orders received here in 0 to 3 days. And you can see across the top here, I've got some aging of the files in the system. These columns, again, are configurable. If we want additional aging columns or less aging columns, it's possible to do it. And we do split between new and used inventory as well. Now, this dashboard is going to show us in a minute what happens. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to return to my Drive DMS system. I'm already logged into a vehicle inquiry. This vehicle inquiry is for a used inventory vehicle. I've built up an order for a customer here. And as I say, I'm going to sort of jump straight to producing the order, but we could take the receiving of a payment, for example, of an initial deposit prior to order as the trigger document to create the file equally as the order I'm going to produce now. So my sales manager is going to go in and produce the order. So I'm going to do the print the order routine on here. This is everything from the user's perspective. If they were using Drive Showroom, for example, here is exactly the same as they do today, apart from the fact that we will now default the user to not print to a printing spooler, to actually print this to the sales document file. So I'm going to click finish here. Now I do have my handover diary turned on, so I do need to just very quickly arrange a handover date for this customer. And in doing so, I get my next actions. That's all good. And this is the point where this then turns to a provisional order. Obviously, it can go to confirmed in Drive if we set it up that way. But this is the point where we'd have a piece of paper come off a printer. In this case, we've not actually printed a paper document. If I go back to my web browser, I'm logged into Sales Docs, so I can force the refresh of this screen. I now have a 1 in the order received there. So in real time, this has created the file and it has received the document, the order document to do that from my Drive DMS system. Now, it's also created that memorandum stock file I talked about for the trade-in vehicle. So this is that example of how we can really get ahead of the admin process and make things much more efficient. And that is some of those time savings that Lawrence talked about. Now, if I click on order received, if I'm the manager here, I can go in, I can see that the order has been received into the system. It's come in today. This is for a used vehicle. We can equally take new vehicle sales as well. And we can determine the type of sale that's coming in as well. So whether it's a retail sale, it might be a fleet sale, it might be a leasing sale, it might be an internal file we're producing. We can create different file types based on the different sales types. I have the sales executives details, the customer name, and the vehicle details together with the order reference. So if I click into this, we'll show you what the file looks like. So I will just maximize my screen up a little bit so you can see a bit more there. Now, the file, as I said, has been created with as a used vehicle file. It's brought across some information about the customer in the header here. So I have details of the vehicle stock number, the order number, the model, the order value, and contact details for the customer as well. Now, up at the top here, we have the dealer that we've received it for. I have the status, and this mirrors the statuses you saw on the grid on the front screen in the dashboard. Just a reminder again, these are totally configurable to suit your processes. And I also have the deal file owner, in this case would be the salesperson. Now, the important part about these statuses is we've set this up with what Lawrence referred to as workflow. And workflow means that I cannot manually move this status to the next status. What I have to do is satisfy some rules in the background. And this is a really useful part of the system. And this is where you ensure that everything you want to happen to these documents and the file along the process of these movements is kind of going to happen, because if I don't do it, I can't move the file forward. So this makes the file to some degree self-auditing. So you can see here that I've got an order form uploaded, and that has happened because it's green, but I also need to ensure that order form is signed, and it hasn't been signed yet. So that's where we're going to go next. I also have an optional document. We can set documents to be optional in the file. In this case, it is an offer sheet or quotation. And because I've not gone through that process, I could, as the user, now set that as not required. This just ensures that optional documents within a file can be hidden if they're not required, so that when somebody does look at the file later on, we don't have a document placeholder that we're not going to use. So my order form requires signature. It's come in today. It's version revision 1. That's an important thing to look at there. Now I'm going to click the sign button, and it gives me an on-screen view of the document, and we can see it's an unsigned document. If I scroll to the bottom of the document, I have 2 sales requirements. I have one from the sales department to sign. So I would sign in this case as the manager. So now this is, I'm doing this on a PC today. However, this works particularly well on a mobile device like a tablet. Because it's a web-based system, users can use a stylus pen or their finger to sign on these boxes. So if I click continue, I now have a box for a customer signature. And this is where I could, if I was in store with the customer and I had my mobile device, ask the customer to sign on here. So the customer could sign as well for me on here. Now, there are occasions when the customer isn't in store and we may need to collect a signature remotely. Or we have seen, unfortunately, since the COVID pandemic, handing devices around between people has not been practical, and you need to wipe down devices in between each time somebody touches it. Means that most customers now will want to use their own device to sign things. So this is a feature we can use in store or remotely, and it's called Share Docs. It's here, and I'm going to say I'm going to capture this customer signature through Share Docs. So if I click Ready for Share Docs, then I have signed as the manager. Now, each user within the system has their own PIN number to verify their own signatures. And if they witnessed a customer signature, they would indeed be verifying the customer signature with that PIN number. So now it still requires a customer signature. It has been added today, but it's version revision 2. So up at the top here, we have a series of buttons. The highlighted one here shows me the linked file. That linked file is the trade-in file. I can jump to the trade-in file by clicking that button, and I can come back from the trade-in file to this file. This enables that movement of documents between the files. And another key button here is the Share Docs button. So I can say I would like to get the customer to sign the order form. I've made it ready for Share Docs. We've got the customer's contact details here. And if I click Sign Document, I can send a link to the customer to ask them to sign the document. In addition to that, I can ask customers to upload documents. So if there was a particular document like an ID card or proof of insurance or anything that we needed, I can actually ask a customer to upload a document to me the other side, and I can prompt customers to download documents as well. In my system, I'm going to automatically send any completed documents by email, so I probably wouldn't use that. So I'm going to send the link to the user, and it tells me that the invitation has been sent to the customer for signing. So I can see it's now sent by Share Docs. Now I'll just come back out of that. In my email inbox here, I'm playing the customer as well here. We have an email notification to say that a link has been sent to the customer. And in a minute, I'll get another email as the customer telling me that I have a document to sign. Now, on a mobile device as well, I would also get a text message. Now, mobile devices typically how customers will do this. And therefore, what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to share my phone with you. And I just need to enable my screen mirroring onto this Zoom. And any second now, you should hopefully see my phone pop up. There we go. And there you see I have a text message on screen as the customer to enable me to link to my unique page that will allow me then to verify my identity. Now, this is a two-stage verification. And if I put in my phone number, as most customers would, then I can request a unique 6-digit PIN code. So I will then receive another SMS message. Now I could be doing this all by email, and I could be doing it on a PC, could be doing it on a tablet, but most customers have a mobile device internet enabled now, and therefore they will likely do this by phone. And you can see there that I have a unique 6-digit PIN number 493430. So 493430, validate that PIN, and I now have my 2 elements that I need to do. So in this case, I can see that I need to sign my order form. So if I click sign order form, I can scroll down. I can have a look at the order form. Now I could orientate this into landscape on my phone, zoom in and out, but you can see that if I zoom in there, I have a signature and a date from the sales manager. If I scroll back up to the top of the page and I'm happy with it, I can then use the signature panel to put my signature on. And then I can mark it as signature complete. Now in that case, it's gone green, so everything's happened. I can also upload any document. So I've got this request to upload a document. Now on a phone or a tablet device, I'm prompted where I want to get that from. So this is that example. If I click take photo, then what I can do is you'll see here I've got my UK's driver's license there. I'll just cover up some of the information there, and I'll take a picture of that, and then I'll use the photo there. So that uploads the document, and everything's done there. I can move on as the customer. So what I'll do there is I'll just stop sharing that screen, and I will return to my main screen. And in my email inbox, which you should now be able to see, you will see that there's a series of emails happened. So the customer would have received an email version of that link as well. This can be HTML, nicely formatted for you. The customer can also gets their PIN number by email as well. Most importantly, though, the manager here would receive an email to say that the customer has signed and uploaded the document, and the customer will get a copy sent to them. In my case, I've set the system to send it automatically. And I can link straight back into that deal file from that email, and I can see here that the order form is now signed. It's version revision 3, and if I go into view it, you'll see here that we have both signatures, and I can go backwards through the previous revisions. Now, this is an important feature because it ensures that we never lose any documentation. Now, we're still in order received status. So if I go back into the file, I've satisfied that first rule. The second rule here is to say that the offer sheet needs to come in. Now I'm going to set that as not required. This can be set by user permission level. So I'm going to tell it we're not going to do that today. And now you can see it goes to manager final authorization. And if I click on it, it's asking for an additional document, but it's also asking for an approval. Now, just to show you, if I wanted to bring a document in from any other system, the document it's asking for is this one here. And if I click upload, I can go to a file location, be it on a network, from a scan, or from a local drive, and I can upload a document directly to the file as well. So whether I take a picture of a paper document, upload, or we receive the file directly from the system like the DMS, it's very easy to get the documents in. Now, just to show you another feature of the workflow, this is asking for manager approval. Now, we can apply further signatures, but the manager would need to review any documents that have come into the file. So we have a review button. And then what I can do is I can put these documents side by side into compare mode. I can check them. I can zoom in and out. I can go to full presentation mode, or I can, search for text on them. And then I can mark them as approved, or I can reject them. If I reject, it sends a mail to the user with a reason for rejection and resets the status of the file. Otherwise, if I mark them as approved, it will move the status to the next status, which is ready for admin. Now, there's one last thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to just talk you through a couple of other minor features here that are, will bring us to the end of the short demo we're going to do today. I'm just going to go back. I've set my manager up deliberately to be able to invoice this order, just to show you the auto append. So that's just created the trade-in vehicle as I've just confirmed the order. Now my manager, and I appreciate we wouldn't do this in a live environment normally, but my manager's allowed to actually invoice from the inquiry and for speed. So I'm going to put the invoice in as today. I'm just going to race through all of the next pieces. Obviously it previews the document for me. And again, I'm not going to print a paper document here. Now, what I'm going to do just before I do that is I'm going to go back to the home button there, and you can see we've got our deal here for manager authorization. And if I now go back into the DMS and I print the invoice, that's just warning me I've got some unreceived costs. That's now gone to invoice status. And if I go back and we go into the deal file, oh, I've picked up the wrong one there. I do apologize. If I go back into the deal file there, ready for admin, sorry. There we go. That's the one we wanted. And I come down here, you'll see that the sales invoice has arrived today. Now, I didn't put that in the file. I didn't tell it where to go. It has read that invoice. It's read the key details off of the document, and it's filed away the invoice in the right file. It's also satisfied the rule to say that the invoice has been completed. Now, in a full demo, we'd carry on all the way through to the end of the process with vehicle handover steps. And as Lawrence said, when we're preparing for vehicle handover, there's generally a lot of documentation that the customer needs to review. And if that's done at point of vehicle handover, it can slow down and make the handover experience less enjoyable for the customer. So a lot of businesses we work with now, the salesperson or the administration department will go in and they will share handover documentation in advance of handover with the customer and ask the customer to review and complete any documents they can, so that we put the focus on the handover and not paperwork. And that helps improve customer satisfaction as well. The handover is the part the customer really remembers in the sales process. Now, I've been through a few of these buttons on the way through, but a really important one to have a look at here is history, because everything I've done on this demo today, now this is in UK time because I'm in the UK today, you see that that has gone in from the minute we created it, with the document we created being the order, how we sent the signature invitation to the customer, how the customer responded to those signatures, when the documents were approved. Absolutely everything is being recorded in the system, dated, timed, with users attached. Now, the files can then progress all the way through to a final status. And then after a period of time, we hold them in the same system, but we put them into what we would refer to as an archive status. They can then be searched. So as I said earlier, I can look for any files related just to a customer name. And then what I could do is I could bring that down to an individual user. I could say that I want to look for any files that are ready for admin or ready for handover or manager authorization. And I can filter all the files through as well. We do have integrations for Drive Showroom. So if I want to, I can open sales docs directly within Drive Showroom, straight into the deal file. In a broader demo, we'd do that for you, but conscious of our time today. And then very lastly, just to tell you that at the end of an agreed retention period, which would be a number of years, so certainly sort of in the UK here, we keep files for 7 years. If it was 10 years, we then automatically destroy those, which is going to be, very important if you consider things like, data protection and GDPR, for example. Now, any individual documents like my identity card I'd uploaded, if that wasn't required to be kept for the full retention period, we can set interim deletions of individual documents within the system. So that's given you hopefully a good idea. I think we're going to go for some Q&A now. So if Lawrence, you'd like to take back the screen share, or I can stop sharing.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay.
So just whilst you guys are sort of getting your questions in, we are going to run a quick poll. So I'll just allow you some time to get those questions in. And now was the opportunity. So based upon the demo, bearing in mind it was very much a whistle-stop tour, would you like to see more information about sales docs? Now we can organise, like I said, a tailored demonstration and go through all of the features, enhancements, and also product developments that we've got planned for the solution as well. Okay, that's great. Thanks, guys. Very positive feedback in that respect. So, James, if you can sort of fire away some questions, and me and Curtis will endeavour to answer them as best as we can.
Yes, of course. Okay, let me just go to the Q&A. We've got a few in here. So, okay, so probably this one's for yourself, Lawrence. So, with regards to OEMs, are they aware of this platform, and what sort of support have we been getting from the OEMs if you have been engaging with them?
Yeah, so we've been to see a number of OEMs, and we have showed them the solution, or shown them the solution. I think the majority of OEMs are sort of very encouraging, and they're very excited about Keyloop Docs, both from a sales and service element. As you can appreciate from a sales docs point of view, when we configure the solution, to Curtis's point, we configure it to complement your existing processes. So the key differences are that this is a digital journey as opposed to a manual journey, and the documents would obtain an e-signature. This solution is very, very mature in other markets. And like I said, the OEMs are, the sort of support at 100%.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, probably maybe one for the pair of you. Actually, so do I have to change my sales process to use this system?
Not at all. Not at all. As Lawrence just said, it will absolutely complement your sales process. So we will, as I said, we are in the process of building out with the learning we did from the local regional pilot, a more sort of recognizable workflow for the region. So anybody that's going to be organizing demos will hopefully see that very soon. And yeah, absolutely. If you've got steps in your sales process that we need to consider or bring in different approval points or different statuses, it can be configured to absolutely complement what you do. We're not trying to be prescriptive with sales or deal file process here.
Okay, thank you. I think the next one actually is a similar question asked slightly differently, but maybe expanding a bit more. Would I be able to change my deal file structure, and I would be able to add in new documents in the future? And what about handwritten forms that we use in today's process?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we do the initial setup, but we also train some system administrator users. You have access to be able to change structures of files, and we version file changes, so you can see who made the change and which file type is being used as we move forward. So as you make changes, it becomes a new version of the file. You can add in new documents. Document mapping does need to be done by us in the background, so you'd need to log a support call to get a new document mapped. But once the document's mapped, you can add that to any file type, and you can build it into the process. I say map documents, that's only if you want it to auto append. If it's a document you're going to upload manually, then obviously we don't need to map that. We just need to know what type of document it is and where you want to put it. Yeah, it's really, really flexible.
Okay, so if I've got a specific sort of OEM handover checklist when the customers come in to collect their vehicle, could that be replicated, and instead of having it as a manual tick list, I could be replicated in the sales docs?
So where we have OEM relationships in existing mature markets, as Lawrence said, we have built electronic forms. We didn't get quite as far as electronic forms today, to mirror the types of documents that OEMs would ask you to use. So if we have a specific OEM that provides us and we build it out, then a user can hook that into the process, and we can literally tick boxes on the form on screen. We can capture signatures, we can have date pickers, drop downs, etc. We can build those out in the system as well, and equally, if somebody, I know that was mentioned a minute ago, paper-based bits of the process, as I said before, if there is a need to retain a paper document anywhere in the process, that can be captured in a similar way I did as the customer by taking a picture as well. But yeah, absolutely, James, we can create electronic forms within the system.
Okay.
We will be doing that, I'm sure, for many OEMs in the region as well.
Yeah, okay, good. This is an interesting one. Will sales docs work alongside any showroom system, even if I don't have a Keyloop DMS?
Yes, it will. So the system is completely agnostic. And so Curtis touched on it at the very start of the demonstration in terms of how the documents come into the solution. So as long as you can print to a data PDF from that solution, and it's got at least 2 bits of unique identifiable information, then not only do we take the document directly into the system, but we will also put it into the correct placeholder. Now, if that CRM system, as an example, doesn't capture signatures, we can map those documents to Curtis's point, so we can capture the signature within either Sales Docs or alternatively the module that we've got within Sales Docs called Share Docs.
Okay, interesting. So if I was a part of a group and half the group was on a Keyloop DMS and the other half was on a third party, you could still put sales docs across the whole of the estate.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So where we said we have multiple dealers, as I said, the system doesn't really mind where the documents are coming from. So dealer A could be bringing it all off of the DMS. Dealer B could be bringing it off a separate ERP system into the system.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. Okay. So I've got another one here. So you used a virtual printer from the DMS, will there be APIs available?
We do already have some APIs in place for some of our layered application products. So here in the UK, we have a showroom system that Keyloop own, and that sends the documents via API. Lawrence said we're doing lots of product line plan work at the moment, and very early next year, we'll be testing some of our APIs for delivering the documents from the dealer management system via API as well. Right now, we are using a PDF spooler, and that drops the documents into a secure file transfer protocol file. But however, yes, we will be bringing forward a whole host of additional functionality in the future, and an early doors part of that will be APIs.
Okay, good. Okay, I think I'll take this one here. So the question is the feature available on the current module, or is it yet to be released for the Middle East? So as Lawrence mentioned at the beginning, probably about 8 to 10 weeks ago, we put it into a group here based in the UAE. We ran it for 4 to 6 weeks as a proof of concept. We took a few things away from it. We needed to make some changes in terms of character lengths, etc. The product has been modified to allow for a replicization. That's obviously one of the key features, and that's why it's taken us a little bit of time to get it to the market. But yes, I mean, it's as we've seen today, I mean, the product has been signed off. It is effectively at a general release now, which is the reason we are carrying out these webinars. So feel free to reach out to your account manager, sales manager for more details. Okay, let's have a quick look down the list. What else have we got here? So I think we could probably cover this one quite quickly. What will happen to existing print manager? I think it's fair to say the print manager carries on the same.
Yes, absolutely. We still maintain print manager because there will still be people obviously printing, and we still need print manager to create the PDF document, even if we're going to move it through an API in the future. So everything remains the same there.
Yeah, okay. I'm not quite sure I understand this question, but is it possible to integrate sales docs with our own homegrown mobile application?
I think from that point of view, James would have to understand a little bit more about it, just to understand exactly what it is and what the requirements are from that point of view. Okay. To Curtis's point, we are due to release APIs in terms of document APIs from the DMS. At some point after that, we will be developing partner APIs. But ultimately, it's, when we look at it in terms of product development plans, if it's beneficial for a lot of customers, we would look to do it, but we need to understand the little nuances from that point of view.
Yeah, I think to echo what Lawrence says, that needs a bit of investigation, but I would just point out this is a URL delivered through a web browser. So if you are viewing it over the internet, you could, of course, invoke the URL within an application to open the web page. So at its most simple form, yes, but further sort of discussion might be required.
Yeah, okay. I can see who that question's coming from, so I'll answer them offline on that one. Okay, I think we've covered this one, but is this a hosted solution, cloud-based, means we do not need to procure or maintain separate hardware resources to implement this solution?
Yes, it's hosted, yeah.
So it's currently hosted by Microsoft Azure, which will be moving across to AWS. And just on that point of view, the system runs from the UK. However, the storage of documents is stored locally. So as an example, for the Middle East, it will be stored within the Middle East to comply with local legislation.
Okay, thank you. I think we've covered this one as well. Can we define different workflows based upon the sale, the customer, the case, and ad hoc basis for a sales cycle?
Yeah. So the display of the dashboard grid at the start is driven typically by the branch that's logging in, or the site that's logging in. But within that workflow, you can expose different files to different parts of the workflow. So if deal file A was a retail used vehicle sale and it needed to touch points 1, 2, 5, 7, and 9, it would. But if deal file B needed to touch other parts of the workflow, it could as well. The workflow can be tagged by sales type, branch, or it could be global right across the group. So again, there is a huge amount of flexibility in the way you set this up.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is a very interesting question. I think this comes back to what we'd spoken about before with one of our other groups, Lawrence. So are you following the PDPL, so the Personal Data Protection Law process?
I guess the short answer is that is yes.
Yeah.
Before we launched in the Middle East, to James's point, we go through a very rigorous beta process just to ensure that we comply with the local legalities and also the data protection standards. This is a very mature solution, so we've got quite a lot of experience in other markets with that. But the short answer is yes, absolutely. The last thing that we want is to leave you guys as dealers exposed. So we've looked at the legalities and we've also spoken with the OEMs. And the next point is just to get more customers on board, I guess.
Yes, I think that's a very good point there. So when Lawrence and I were with a group a few weeks ago, we were talking to somebody about the receiving of whether it be a copy of your Emirates ID, your passport, etc. And the answer was the salespeople were receiving them on WhatsApp. So you can imagine that you have salespeople storing customers' personal information on their own personal mobile phones. So where we can actually request using a secure link for copies of confidential information like that, that fully complies to GDPR. So it's a very good question. Okay, so there's been a few on here, Lawrence, regarding integration in terms of what releases of the DMS that Keyloop provide that we integrate into. So as you know, we've got version 39 in the market. We've got version Rev 8H, and we've also got Autoline Drive, standard accounts and international accounts. Can you just give us a bit of an idea in terms of which of those DMSs the integration will be available for?
So in terms of the APIs should be in theory available from all of them. What I would say is that the secure principle, essentially that is, it almost works the same as the API, albeit with the API there is less configuration required because we will automatically read those documents. But in terms of restrictions, so whether or not you're on sort of Rev 8 or Drive, the system will work no different. Hence why, to Curtis's point, it is a completely agnostic solution. So it means that whatever DMS, whatever assurance.
Just to add to that, the APIs, to be clear, would need to be on a hosted environment, because to access APIs, you do need to be hosted. If you've got an on-premises server for a Rev 8, we can still take the documents through the Spooler version that I've shown today, but you wouldn't be able to hook into the APIs if you've got your own server, just because you need to be on the hosting platform to access the platform application APIs.
That's correct. I'd need to double check, but I've got to think there may be a limitation with the APIs on the version 39 as well. I think the API is only available on H and Drive. And your point there, Curtis, yes, need to be on hosting.
But the system will still work if we set up a PDF spooler from the DMS. So you're not going to lose out. You can still hook into this product in the way I've demoed it today. And I've been demoing it in real time on a live system, so you can see it's as instant as if it received it on an API, really.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to look for some more. So, is the system can be customized to cover other workflows and other document management, such as shipment and customs clearance?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're thinking about AVM in Drive, for example, all the documents that come out of AVM could go in there. Also, if you're prepping vehicles in the workshop, I know that we've got a session tomorrow specifically on service docs to cover the service version of what you've seen today. But if you wanted a document from the service department to go straight to a sales deal file, it's possible to do that as well. And with any third-party document, if we can read the document and it can be printed, as we said, as a data PDF, we could bring it in, or if not, it could be uploaded from a local drive. So if you've received it via email, you could just save it into a desktop folder and just upload it from there, or from a network folder. So yeah, absolutely, you could get any documents you want into the file.
Okay. And is there a limitation to the number of approvers that we may have in our sales process, whether it be a business manager, sales manager, finance manager?
absolutely, as many as you want. We've got other functionality that you'd see in a bigger demo as well. We can use the system to send interactive notes around the business. They will be logged in the history file as well. But that means that as part of the approval process, we can actually notify people that things need the next level of approval. They can link, like I did, from that email straight back into the file and carry out their approval tasks. Or you could put approval workflow steps in so users could see what files are waiting approval. But yes, you could have multiple approvers at any stage within it, and multiple approval stages all the way through. Approvals can be ticked like I did, or they can require a signature as well if necessary.
Okay, good. We've got one here on the reporting. What sort of reports are available within Sales Docs?
In our product line plans, Lawrence, I think it's fair to say that we are evaluating sort of standard report requirements for customers. If there is a reporting requirement, we can give access to the data set so that you can hook in your own report builder front end, something like Power BI or even an Excel spreadsheet, so that you can extract data yourself. Within the system, you can obviously search and compile files based on a number of key criteria, but we're taking learning from our mature markets and new markets like the region here, and we will in our product line plans next year be putting some level of standard reporting into the system as well. I think that's true to say, isn't it, Lawrence?
Yeah, absolutely. I think previously the complexity around reporting is what somebody sees as a good report, somebody sees as a very poor report. So the idea in terms of requirements is very different. However, to Curtis's point, the next stage of the product line plan is to develop a reporting suite. However, the functionality or the ability to extract information from the sales stock system is currently there for you to receive any information that you want. So say, for example, deal files that have stayed at a certain stage for so long, or deal files that are sort of skipping over sort of processes as an example. So absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're just running out of time. This last couple, this is quite an interesting one. So can the incoming SMSs be branded, i.e. with Mercedes, instead of just a number? Because sometimes customers are reluctant to click on a link they receive from an unknown number or something that's not got a brand image on it.
Very true. An alpha sender can be applied to the SMS, so if it needed to go out as a particular brand, then it can do. Obviously we're sending those SMSs to typically send links and notifications to the customer. So if it needed in demo, we've just set it up as a number, but yeah, to your point.
Okay, great. Okay, I think that's we're nearly on the hour now, so that brings us to a close. So I'd like to thank all the attendees for attending and joining the session today. Hope you found it beneficial. Also, thanks to Curtis and Lawrence for your help with the questions and answers and the demo earlier on.